I call this our royal court. You're the queen, and you've got this royal court. Now, like you said, you're always in your mind, which means you're always hanging out with the smartass. That's the smartass that works for the queen. That's your mind. And in your case, yes, your mind is very active. But your mind the smartass needs to interview your feelings and needs to interview your heart.
Hello, my friend and earthly neighbor, and welcome back to another week in the month I'm calling Never the Same November. And finally, this week, I am happy to announce that after a full year of us facing our karma and turning our story toward the light, this is the week where the story you were born to live actually begins. From my smartphone to yours, keep streaming for your weekly Namaste Today. Welcome to Namaste Today, a delightful way to kickstart your day. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Sensei Christopher Witecki. Welcome back, my friend. Namaste. Well, we are now on to the third week of Never the Same November, and we are finally across the big bridge. That bridge was turning your back on the karma you were born to and turning your heart toward the story you were born to live. So in this week's episode, I'm going to get deep on this transition. First, I'm going to walk you through the week and talk about how this holiday week in the United States, you'll be facing your story. Then later, in your tea time, I'm going to announce how karma moves forward with Neptune direct and Saturn on the galactic center. But first, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is from Monday, November 20th to Friday, November 24th, 2017. Looking at your 5-day mood cast. Well, the week is a little strange. It starts off really intense and then gets super quiet. Let's drill down. On Monday, it's sunny and futuristic. Step 28 rules the day, and you'll be putting the final touches on your intended transformation. On Tuesday, it's cloudy, overcast, and likely worrisome. Step 29 Scorpio rules the day, and you'll be tested on all of your boundaries. On Wednesday, it's cloudy and shifting. We move to Step 0 Sagittarius, and the moon crosses Pluto to say goodbye to the past. Then on Thursday, things pick up. It's sunny and optimistic. Step 1 rules the day, and Neptune goes direct. And then on Friday, it's sunny and super sensitive. Saturn hits the galactic center, and Step 2 rules the day. Well, looking at the week ahead, it's really about identifying your story and how far you've come. In our next segment, I'm going to walk you through the week and talk about the planets. Taking a sneak peek at the upcoming week, I coined this week, Facing My Story. Now, we have been through the entire year facing our karma. I've talked about this in other shows, but it really began at the beginning of the year when we had eclipses in Aquarius and in Pisces. That was the universe pushing us to move away from our karmic stories and our suffering and toward the story we were born to live. All year long, we faced different parts of our consciousness where we literally had to separate the past from the hope of the future. And in Scorpio, that's when we've done the most work here. In the last 4 weeks, we have worked to build new boundaries with ourselves, build new trust with ourselves, and build hope for the future by transforming our personal emotional comfort zones, what we're comfortable with and what we're not comfortable with. Finally, this week, we'll put a wrap up on our intentions for our transformation. And I should note that whatever you have decided to change in your life when it comes to comfort zones, whether it plays down to marriages or friendships or your career and legacy or your home and family life, these were intentions that you set in the last 4 weeks. And with Jupiter in Scorpio, I think it will take the entire year to implement these intentions. So be very clear on what you want, but also be very patient. We had the new moon last weekend, and that was the official kickoff. and this week will be the real week you begin to actually see some of those changes. Also this week, we move into Sagittarius, and this is a big deal because this is the last time the sun will be in Sagittarius since Saturn entered Sagittarius 3 years ago in 2014. And for these last 3 years, we have had to get a grapple on what we believe in ourself, whether or not we believe in ourself, and what we believe outside of ourself, which is one of the reasons why I think the world has become so geopolitical in the last 3 years. The world is literally debating inside itself, each individual, and in the outer world, what philosophies we should live by. Well, all of this, our decisions for philosophy, our decision for what we believe in, what it ends up doing is changing our vision. Step 3 is I believe, which is Sagittarius. And this is the consciousness of your third eye, the part of you that envisions your future and draws it out into the future. And what we are doing as we move into the sun in Sagittarius is we are now ready, after 3 years of study and growing up, to point our life in the right direction, or what I like to call the story we were born to live. Now, with that said, the first chapter of this might be a little bit of a bummer. In fact, I call this week Facing My Story because I believe this week will be about you facing the truth about your life so far. Sagittarius is us putting our story together and understanding it, but usually we're so busy with other parts of our life and other parts of our consciousness, we don't really sit down and review how far we've come. What I find really interesting about astrology is how it lines up with holidays. So here in the United States anyways, we will have a 4-day vacation known as Thanksgiving. And the thing about this is the one time of the year that we tend to get together with our relatives and our family and our closest friends. And what ends up happening when you're with your friends and family is, of course, you notice how far they have come in the last year or how much they've grown since the last time you saw them. And you can't help but compare and contrast your life to their life and question how far you have come as well. So this is exactly what the planets are saying are going to happen this week, that you're going to become very aware, probably having some emotional memories of what you have gone through in your lifetime, and by the end of the weekend of this week, you'll be looking to make some changes in your story. So I'm expecting many things to change in the next week, but it probably won't come until right after the holiday, Sunday or Monday. So I want to walk you through the week and tell you what you can expect, and we'll talk about how you are reviewing your story. Now on Monday, we're still actually in Scorpio. I'm predicting that to be sunny and futuristic. Step 28 rules the day. I think it's going to be an optimistic day. The moon will be in Sagittarius, so starting from Sunday into Monday, you already started to feel your story and feel what you've been through, and you might have felt a little tired as well. Whenever I review my story, I get exhausted, to be honest with you. So on Monday, I think you're feeling solid. Black Lilith has moved to step 1 Capricorn, so although we are manifesting the boundary changes and a transformation of our life on Monday, we're also maybe starting to feel a little fear or concern, that's Black Lilith, as to whether everything will work out or as to whether we can remain in control of our future. But those fears are to be worked out. And Mercury will be at step 20 on Monday, which means our minds start to get a little impatient and passionate about the story we want to live. On Tuesday, I'm predicting it to be cloudy and worrisome, and this is for a couple of reasons. One, step 29, Scorpio rules today. The 29th step is always the most difficult step of a transit, or one of them. You'll find that you are tested on nearly every boundary that you learn to put up or take down over the last 30 days. So don't judge yourself on Tuesday based on how things go. What the universe is unveiling to you is that there still may be a little work to be done or some understanding to be had about where your boundaries are to be drawn. Tuesday will be cloudy, and Jupiter moves to step 9 Scorpio, so that means that you'll be feeling the need to move ahead with all of your self-boundaries, boundaries that you put up with yourself, for instance, quitting drinking or starting a new diet or starting a new regimen for exercise. So you'll feel some pressure on Tuesday. Wednesday, I predict to be cloudy and shifting. This is, of course, the day before Thanksgiving, so it always feels weird every year on this day, and that's because step 0 rules the day. Step 0 is a transition energy, so we kind of feel in and out of reality. The line between life and death is open, so we often have a lot of paranormal activity or connection from the other side. And also, the moon will be moving from Capricorn into the late stages of Capricorn, and it'll be heading for Pluto, which means at some point on Wednesday, you're going to be ready to let go of your old feelings about something. Now, when the moon is near Pluto, usually we kind of feel death in the air. We kind of feel like it's the end of an era. So if Wednesday ends up feeling gloomy, that's exactly what I predicted. Then on Thursday, Thanksgiving here in the United States, I predict to be sunny and optimistic. After all that gloom on Wednesday, we perk up. Step 1 rules the day. And this is a day where you're going to start to feel your life moving and changing. This is also the day when you're probably going to be doing a lot of review of how far your life has come this year, how far your life has come in this lifetime. And like I said earlier, comparing yourself to family members just as a measure of understanding. The cool thing about Thursday is Neptune goes direct. Now, Neptune has been retrograde since the summer in June, and Neptune represents where our karmic story is moving forward or not. Since June, we have been looking inside of ourselves, for how our karmic story needs to change, looking inside of ourselves for parts of ourself that need to change so we can advance our story. And technically, our story has been on hold. In other words, we haven't moved forward in our karmic Akashic record, so to speak, for the entire 6 months. But as of Thanksgiving, with Neptune direct, it means our stories now move forward. So I would imagine that Thanksgiving itself will be full of lots of interesting enlightenments that help you to move your story forward. Then on Friday is going to be actually sunny and sensitive, and we call this Black Friday here in the United States because Americans love to go out and spend money on this day. But I would recommend maybe using Amazon just because everyone's going to be temperamental, in my opinion. The moon will be in Aquarius, so we'll be feeling the big picture, but we will be hypersensitive to our story. Mercury moves to step 21, which means we can start to feel life changing. We're starting to think about life's changing. And probably the most dramatic incident of Friday, Saturn now moves to the galactic center. Saturn on the galactic center means it is now time to take responsibility for the story you were born to live and understand what the next step in that story is. So that wraps up this full week synopsis, but I do want to get a little deeper on Neptune going direct and Saturn on the galactic center. So go steep yourself some tea and let's have our weekly tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is your karmic story moves forward. As I mentioned in the last segment, we've pretty much been on hold as far as moving our official story forward. That's why many people who had actually messaged me in Namaste Today Club about all the crazy politics going on with President Trump and the Russia investigation, all this stuff, everyone's asked for my opinion. I've said the same thing over and over again. We won't know until Thanksgiving. And that's because on the Thanksgiving week, which is the third week in November, this is the week where Neptune goes direct, and at the same time, Saturn hits the galactic center. Now, first speaking to Neptune, Neptune is a planet that really connects us to our higher self. It's the planet that connects us to our whole spiritual universe. Now, when it's direct, it means that we are connecting to our outer world. The universe is helping us pilot what we do next, giving us intuition for what step to take next. And when Neptune is retrograde, it means that we're looking inside our soul for problems or to release past life karma and past life tragedies, right? All of our sorrow and suffering. So for the last 6 months or so, since June, all this stuff you've seen in the world really was people personifying their inner suffering. People were having inner suffering. They were facing their karma. They were facing their particular story and having to overcome it. So you could say this last 6 months has been a lot about maintaining inner faith. Faith that you yourself can persevere through the challenges. Now that Neptune moves direct, it'll be about outer faith. Now our story will be scanning the world for the best step for us to take, for the best partnerships to align with, and scanning our outer world as to whether we should remain in certain partnerships or move on. I would predict that after Neptune goes direct this week, many couples will probably split up between now and January when the sun is in Capricorn. Probably they already were coming to the courage inside themselves to make these changes, but it's not till the story moves forward with Neptune direct that I wouldn't expect to see actual change. And so we can expect to see a lot of change probably beginning next week or the end of this week. The other interesting headline is Saturn is now conjunct the galactic center. And this is the last time Saturn will conjunct the galactic center for 29.5 years. So it is a big deal. The last time Saturn conjuncted the galactic center was in the late 80s. And this is a time when the galactic center was at step 26, which was a time that meant it was time to decide, Saturn, what our commitment is, step 26, to our life story. So in the 80s, we were making a commitment to what our story would be. And since then, Saturn has gone all the way around the block and has now returned. In December of 2012, the galactic center moved to step 27. That was the Mayan shift, which means that now that Saturn has crossed the galactic center, it's telling us to take responsibility for moving forward with our story. And so everyone is probably going to spend this next week feeling like they're behind. I just want to put that out there. Don't feel bad if you feel bad. Don't feel like you were behind in your life. What the universe is trying to do is to get you to see how far you've come so you can calculate where you're going next. And I'm sure we all did our best for the last 30 years, to get on our path. But I do think things will accelerate after Saturn crosses the galactic center. This is really the final point of decision making, and it's ready, set, go. So what I want to do is talk about all 12 signs. You might also look up your rising sign for this as well, because I want to talk about where Saturn is conjuncting the galactic center for you and what Neptune direct means for you in the area of your life you're going to be facing. And I will say that if you're looking at your rising sign, that is probably the big lifetime picture. Okay, so for your sun sign, it represents what has to be done in the immediate life in order to get on your personal path. But your rising sign will tell you what that karmic personal path is. And of course, I'll be highlighting this for my subscribers at Serious Joy all week long. So for Aries, your galactic center has to do particularly with a life purpose. So I think Arieses are going to come to terms with what their life purpose is. What brings them meaning? Why were they born anyways? What is life about anyways? Those are the big questions I think you'll hear the Aries talking about over the Thanksgiving table. And what this ties into with Neptune is, by determining your life purpose, you then see your karmic faith move forward. So for you, your particular karmic path right now, Aries and Aries rising, is your higher faith, growing, and also you understanding your spiritual purpose as well as your earthly purpose. Taurus now is moving forward with a life transformation, and that's a big deal. We Tauruses don't change very much. We just sit in the field and chew our curd. You know what I mean? Like, we tend to be stubborn. So Tauruses and Taurus risings will be making a commitment to change their life. That means you'll be making commitments about where your comfort zones once were and where your comfort zones are now going. And I will say, Taurus, these are the last steps you have to take for you to draw in the abundance that you work so hard and deserve. By transforming your life, your karmic story will then begin to move forward in society. So Tauruses are playing out their karmic story in society and with how people perceive them. So I'm sure we'll be seeing some changes from yours truly. Gemini is making a galactic commitment to relationships. So I wouldn't be too surprised if the breakups I mentioned after the holiday, many of them come from Geminis, and then very shortly after, I think a lot of Geminis will be hooking up if they haven't already. So they're making commitments to their marriage and to their long-term partnerships. Where their karmic story then moves forward is their future. So their relationship changes makes their karmic story about their future and their career and their legacy move forward. Cancers are making a galactic center decision about their daily lifestyle. So Cancer risings and Cancers, your deal with the universe was to be in a certain lifestyle for for the great humankind re-evolution. By making new commitments to your lifestyle, you will then move forward with your own personal beliefs and your own understanding of what your life purpose is. So from the lifestyle, life purpose comes for the Sagittariuses. Leos. Leos are making great commitments. Leos are making commitments around what they do best. It has to do with what their heart's deepest calling is. So Leo and Leo risings are being told to get serious this week about what your heart's truest calling is, what your heart just can't live without. And what that does for Leos is moves their karmic story forward with Neptune when it comes to trusting themselves, trusting others, and being intimate. So it is now necessary for Leos to make a dedication to what their heart truly wants, and this brings them along the course of trust and intimacy. Virgos. Virgos are making a commitment to their home, their family, and their overall life security. So all Virgos basically have made a deal with God, universe, that they would create a certain foundation or a certain home for them to blossom their life from. And by making this commitment to your homeland security, you will move forward in your karmic stories in relationships. So in other words, many relationships for Virgos have been on hold because their emotional foundation has not been one they've committed to. Libras. Libras are making a new commitment to a way of thinking. And I know for Libras, a lot of this new thinking involves thinking about themselves as much as they think about others. Now this might also be a commitment to some sort of a platform of speaking or some sort of intellectual property or something you want to make with your mind. So Libras may be making commitments to a particular intellectual project. And this commitment is going to be what allows your daily life to now move forward. So Libra's daily life has been on hold for 6 months as they make their mind up, quite literally. Scorpios. Scorpios are making commitments to manifesting something, bringing something into life with their own hands, making something out of nothing, basically. This also involves abundance and the ability to manifest wealth. And by making a galactic commitment to what you are worth, Scorpio, you will move the story of your personal love and dreams forward. So Scorpios have been on hold with love and dreams because they were on hold with their commitment to what they were worth. Sagittariuses. Sagittarius are heavily affected by this, of course. They've had Saturn in their sign for nearly 3 years. They're making a commitment now to their ego and the character of who they wish to be. Okay? They've been undecisive about who they are and who they're not through this whole transit. But now that they are clear, this allows their karmic story to move forward when it comes to emotional healing, family, and foundation. So Sagittarius have felt unfounded in life because they did not know who they were specifically or who they wanted to become. Capricorns. Capricorns are making a commitment to inner faith. And this is super important. Capricorns have been kind of soft like mashed potatoes for the last 3 years because they were struggling to find their faith and they were clearing a lot of karma. But now they're going to make a commitment to a certain faith or make a commitment to a spiritual mission. Okay? So this commitment to a faith or a spiritual mission allows their thoughts and attitudes to now move forward. Basically, Capricorn has been on repeat. They've been playing the same record in their head for 6 months because they weren't clear on their faith. Aquariuses. Aquariuses are making a commitment to where they belong in the world. And that's actually a very big deal because Aquariuses are probably the most unique and eccentric of all 12 signs. So where they fit in has always been a difficult challenge for them. But the astrology shows that if you make a commitment to where you want to be in the world, which includes your social status and those you belong with, your friendships as well, this will allow your self-confidence and money story to move forward. So Aquariuses have been spiritually growing about what values are and have been spiritually growing in their capacity to earn money. And what the planets say is they've been on hold with money because they weren't clear on where they belonged in the world. And then lastly, the Pisces. Pisces are making a commitment now with the Galactic Center to a career and a legacy. And this is a big deal too because Pisces, kind of like Aquariuses, aren't quite sure where they belong or what they should be doing on the planet. So this is going to clear up a lot of confusion for the Pisces. Once you commit to a lifelong goal or a career or a legacy or all of the above, this is what allows Pisces to now continue changing in their own transformation. Neptune is their ruling planet and it's in their sign, but Pisces have been swimming in circles, well, probably since the day they were born, but really swimming in circles since last June when Neptune went retrograde. So Pisces should feel a real pick-me-up from this karmic story moving forward. So friends, as you can hear, this is going to be a powerful week, mostly on the inside, where you are putting the pieces of your personal story together. And once they feel complete, you're going to feel this call to make changes in your outer world, which we will talk about in next week's show. We have 1 week of moving the story forward and having discovery, and then Mercury goes retrograde on December 3rd, which probably means we come to an epiphany, such a great epiphany, that we actually need 3 weeks to rethink through it. All right, friends. Well, a couple announcements I want to put out there. It is the season of giving right now, and I am giving. I'm actually going to give away 3 30-minute readings with yours truly that you can have as soon as late December or early January. And what I'm asking for in return is that you buy a ticket in a raffle. We are doing a reading raffle for a little girl who lives over in Europe. She is dealing with cerebral palsy, and she wants to come to the United States to be able to get stem cell research in a clinical trial. So we want to help this lady out, and this young lady out, and her mother. They are members of our Namaste Today Club. If you purchase a raffle ticket for $10 or more, or make a donation of $10 or more, you'll be entered to win one of 3 30-minute readings. And I know there's a lot of viewers out there who don't have the money for a reading, but you might have this $10, and let me tell you, good fortune comes back. So if you'd like to donate, visit ibpeace.org. All right. The next thing I want to announce is that next year in 2018 looks like it's going to be a doozy. I recently did a series called The Human Re-Evolution for Serious Joy, and I started to look at 2018 ahead, and what I noticed is we have a lot of planetary action going on. We have 5 eclipses in 2018. We have Mars going retrograde. We have Venus going retrograde. It's kind of gnarly. So gnarly that I decided to create an online seminar. So I'm going to be hosting a 2-hour online seminar on December 30th. That's Saturday, December 30th, right before New Year's Eve, which is going to be a Sunday this year. And if you'd like to purchase a ticket to that and stream it live, you'll also be able to look at it later after it's been recorded. Visit soulmart.me. Then I want to talk about this week in Serious Joy. Since I have the birth data of all my members, that's one of the benefits of this service, I'm going to be actually giving a little extra work this week and into the next week, revealing from your natal chart what your story you were born to live actually details. I'll give out some of the details and be talking about the placement of certain things, like the galactic center in your chart, where your Saturn is, what your North Node is, what your midheaven is, and giving some explanation of how all these points add up to the story you were born to live. If you would like to be a member of Serious Joy, it's only $3.99 for the first month. Visit SeriousJoy.com. And then finally, a toast to all my friends in the Namaste Today Club. This is a club on Facebook where we have an open invitation for people who walk in the light to come be a part of our community. I just recorded Friday Live last week, so there is a good hour and 15-minute show in that club waiting for you, where I talk about relieving pain in the body, and we talk about Bitcoin as well. But that's just one of the many features of being a member of the club. If you'd like to be a part of our club, it's free. Come to namastetoday.club. All right, friends, that's all I have for this Thanksgiving holiday week. I'm having a hard time with my tongue here. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. If you're not in the United States, I hope you have a wonderful week anyways. And I'll be back in 1 week with more. Until then, remember, I love you. Live, love, be.